Okay, so we are going to start a lesson then, as per normal, with looking at your games. You have broken the 1700. Was it the first time or not?
I don't think so, but it is the first time I've sort of stabilized here.
Yep, very good. So we are not going back anymore, Philip. Now our eyes are steadily on the 2000 already.
We'll see.
Okay, this is a very common mistake that players of this level make on a regular basis. After c4, they have got three moves pretty much. Well, a fair few more than that. But basically, the idea is that they can't allow you to take it, so that they can't retake with a pawn. That's why c6 and e6 in this position are the two most popular moves. Okay, because if I play a lemon like this after takes d5, if knight takes back e4, and the battle for the center has been lost after 4 moves for black. This is how famous disaster stories start in chess, and that's exactly what he did here. So that's why they need to play e6 or c6 or e5, somehow biting into the center, or being able to retake on d5, because if they don't do that, c takes d5 guarantees you a beautiful central pawn structure and huge lead in development. Okay, and this is something that we can't miss. So you have to have your eyes peeled for this, that if they play knight f6, then bang, you just kill it. And if queen takes, the knight c3, thank you very much with the tempo. Now they are forced to play queen a5. Now you can't play e4 right away, but you will have the potential to do so after you develop the pieces. Okay?
Yep.
Alright, knight f3, g6 still taking is very good. Your opponent is confused a little bit about the Grimfeld defense, which would come about like d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, and then d5. And the only reason why it's okay to do it in this position is because after knight takes e4, knight takes, pawn takes, due to the fact that this pawn is on c3, after bishop g7, black has got this strong c5 move, and they can exert a lot of pressure on the d4 pawn on the diagonal. The knight comes to c6. It was a hyper-modern idea back in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s when it started to become popular, but nowadays we consider it to be stock standard. Now, if this pawn, however, is back here, this idea doesn't really work too well, because anytime c5 hits, you can push it through. And therefore, in this position after knight f3 in the actual game, and g6 you still should have taken, and then after knight takes you still have e4 followed by knight c4 with an absolutely fantabulous position. Okay, so you really have to keep your eyes peeled for doing this. The whole idea behind c4, Philip, is to swap a non-central pawn for the central one so that you get to play e4.
Right.
That's the whole concept behind c4. Okay, so now we are back in Grimfeld waters, and e3 is a very, very passive move that you know that I would have disapproved right away.
Yep.
Yeah, so we don't really know why that was played, because even if you didn't consider take e4, why wouldn't you play here bishop f4 or even bishop g5 and then e3? That doesn't
makes
really
sense when you say it.
Yeah, I know it always does, but I'm pretty sure that it would have made sense to you then too. Okay, e3, c6, bishop e2. This is actually a legit line, but it's not meant to give you any advantage. Now, what are we supposed to do here, Philip, and what are we not supposed to do?
We're supposed to develop the bishop somewhere, and we're not supposed to move any other pieces.
That would be a bit too harsh on yourself. And bishop development could only happen to d2, which we can call hardly a developing move.
Right.
Right? What is the move, Philip, that if you would play here, I would go grumpy? Let me give you a clue. It's about tension.
Right. The move not to do to push c5.
That is certainly one of them. The c5 would be something I would really hardcore dislike. And what is the other one, Philip, that I would give you grief for? It involves the same pawn and involves the same pressure here and here.
Well, it's push or takes.
That's correct. Take. That's the other move that I would give you grief for, because we don't release tension unless we gain something out of it. I think
Okay.
that you're getting sick and tired of hearing it.
It's confusing when you should and when you shouldn't. Like
Uh,
earlier, you
you,
should definitely release it, and now you shouldn't. But I understand.
I don't think it's confusing, Philip, because right now you gained nothing at all. Nothing
Right.
whatsoever. And that's the rule of thumb. We don't release tension unless there is obvious gain.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Have you got obvious gain after Queen C2? I sincerely doubt it.
No,
Plus,
I was
another
kind
thing,
of
Philip, is
yeah.
that almost always the move that you follow up this nonsense with would be just as good, if not better, without the swap.
Okay.
See, so Queen C2 here is a zillion times better move because now you are actually threatening to play E4.
Yeah.
Conquering the center, the very center that you just gave up here. Because remember, you are swapping a central pawn for a non-central one. I know it sounds very tedious and boring that I keep on repeating this to you, but I have to as long as these things happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you think about it, and that's moving on now, which side do you think we are likely to be doing our business for the next X amount of moves? Are we gonna play here or here?
Um.
Which appears to be more realistic?
Uh, the queen
Neither.
side for me appears.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course,
Okay.
the queen
Center.
side, simply because you've got more space there, Philip. Almost always, you tend to play on the side of the board where you have more space. Simply because that's where you can organize something productive. Funnily enough, one of the best moves in this position for white would be something like b4.
Yeah.
You don't need to beat around the bush here, and your next move will be b5. And then you start to think about then potentially swapping a pair of pawns. For example, let's say they play, I don't know. I actually don't know what they would play. For the argument's sake, because I want to show you my point. Takes, takes, and you have a target. So now you play queen a4.
Okay.
And it's already awkward to guard the pawn because bishop b7 sort of falls into this.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other thing is that I wanted to show you that now this bishop is going to develop here, where it attacks a very, very meaningful, or rather conquers a meaningful diagonal with a weak square and a target on it. Okay, now obviously I play totally useless moves for black, but that was just to demonstrate the idea. You can also follow it up with a4, then b5, then a5, and try to gain as much space here as possible. The idea, Philip, is that whenever you do this, they can never take you, so that it would be a beneficial, I should rather say, an improvement on their position from their point of view. For example, if they take here, you take a central pawn, that's a no-brainer.
Yep.
Okay? But actually, you can also take back with the knight and then eliminate the central pawn, and eventually we achieved the idea of swapping a c for a d. If they take you here, same story. Their central pawns are gone, yours are here. And it's about to get there very soon. Knight draws back, pawn up. So at no point can they actually bite into these pawns. What it means is that they constantly have to reckon with a lot of swaps, while they themselves can't release this pressure. And if you are a really gutsy customer, you can aim for pushing this dude all the way up and create even more tension there. Now, when you are attacking so violently on the wing, you really have to watch out that they don't hurt you in the center, because any type of wing attack is best combated by central counter-strike. So what I would be looking out for is something like this. This could hurt you. I'm not saying it is, I'm saying it could. Like, I don't really see any major damage with it now, because even if I just play something like this after takes, takes, they haven't achieved much. You can even retake with the knight, but probably that's a bit playing with fire. So yeah, it's all good, but that's the sort of move that you expect when you launch an attack on the wing. Alright, I'll move on now. Take queen c2. I probably would have preferred Philip queen b3 hitting here and here. I don't really understand the point behind queen c2 for two reasons. A, once the knight moves away, you are facing bishop f5.
Yep. I think
And
that did happen.
And B, once that happens, you're facing rook c8. And once again, the queen is misplaced.
Yes.
Yep. I'm not saying
that
he
also
thinks that should come to you as surprising. And on the other hand, queen b3 is perfectly placed. The pawn is, yeah, a bit of an issue. That is a bit of an issue. It's a no-brainer. Alright, I heavily dislike this move mostly because I have no idea what it does.
I was trying to eventually support the push of e4.
Okay, then I have to say that this is a very clumsy way to do it. What would be a good way to do it?
Maybe knight g5, but it can be chased.
Yes, and therefore that counts as clumsy too. Keep on moving on. Two other options.
Bishop d3.
Bingo. Funnily enough, with that move we actually dodged bishop f5 too.
Yep.
Now, I would like to say one more thing though, Philip. As much as it hurts me to say that, I don't like the plan of e4 because as much as it opens up the bishop's diagonal, it creates a weak isolated pawn.
Alright.
Okay, so I would not go for b4 in this structure. Sorry, e4. I would play here, and then maybe b3 and bishop here, and then play on the c file and on the queen side. This knight has a beautiful central outpost here. You have a lot of play here. You don't necessarily need to change the pawn structure. Okay, sadly, because of you have changed the pawn structure earlier in a very inappropriate way, now you don't really have a say in what's happening in the center anymore as far as the pawns are concerned, because e4 has its certain drawbacks, for which reason you shouldn't be doing it. But what I'm saying is, Philip, is that rook e1 is really a lame move because you said you are hoping to play e4, but this is not helping e4, is it?
No, not yet. No.
No, so if the answer is not yet, that equals to no.
Yeah.
Because you have got a plan, and that's e4, and you know that probably by now, that I'm a big advocate of having a bad plan is better than having no plan. So if you want to play e4, fine, so be it. Then play bishop d3, and now you are actually ready to play e4. Once again, whether it's good or bad is another matter, but the point, what I'm trying to make is that rook e1 doesn't make any difference to your plan. E4, you still can't do it. I understand that it's on the file where the e4 pawn will go, but that's way too far-fetched. And after bishop f5, you are not going to play e4 in this game anymore. Or probably not under the circumstances you would have wished. Okay, take there and e4. Okay, so now you managed to play e4, but again, I'm really concerned about this isolated pawn because the rule of thumb is that the more pieces are on the board, the more likely that you can generate play with the isolated pawn on the board. However, one pair of pieces have been swapped off, another pair is swappable. That's just too much. And as soon as we turn it into an endgame, your d4 pawn is going to lose the game for you. Knight d5, super unfortunate move because they should have taken here and then put the other knight into d5. That would have been the way to go. Okay, I like this. That was an excellent move. And that was really good that you retreated here, Philip. Those are two very good quality moves. Now, knight c5 is pending. White is already better. f6 was atrocious. They should have played something like queen d7 or queen c7. Yeah, actually queen d7, I reckon, because queen c7 would have looked into this. f5, another horrendous move because now this is a backward pawn and this is a weak square.
Correct. Yep.
You went here, which is good. Let's see, 7, isn't this hanging, Philip?
Yes.
So why are we not taking it?
I should have.
I'm confuzzled here. Because this is a very basic truism in chess that when you do an attack where all of a sudden two pieces are attacking one that is totally unguarded, more often than not, it's impossible to guard. And that's the case. This is not guarding it. Bang. Right, you went 95, which would have been a perfect move if it hadn't been for the fact that you could have pinched the free pawn.
Right.
Alright, that's horrid. A3, really? Oh, sad face,
Yeah,
Philip. Sad
I'm
face.
sorry. My plan was bishop.
I know.
Before,
And once again, as I said, bad plan is better than no plan. So let's discuss it first about. Well, okay, let's go one by one. First, what do you think is black's best to dodge it? Let me tell you a hint, not what they did.
Move the queen somewhere.
Actually, what they did was quite decent too. Sorry, I stand corrected.
I agree. So certain take the rook then.
Yeah. Okay, so the rule of thumb, Philip, about an isolated pawn is that you always want to blockade it with as a defending side. And the best blockader is always a knight. So you just chuck a knight in front of an isolated pawn blindly every single time when there is an isolated pawn on the board. You can't do wrong. And funny that, you just stopped your threat.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say, Philip, is that you played for a cheapie and you are forcing your opponent to play the correct move. I can guarantee you 100% if you had played this, which is a more or less irrelevant move to the position, although sometimes you can here take and then come about and mate, they would not have played the correct move. But now you are pretty much forcing them. Of course, I'm going to be proven wrong because they went there, but actually that's a quite nasty threat of taking that, which was very clever of them. I don't think they actually noticed that in this position after bishop b4, queen e5 was possible. Sorry, I don't mean to be mean, but I don't think they saw it.
Okay.
But you can't gamble on that, so there's no way that if such feeling would justify going there. And by the way, correct move would have been, of course, instead of a3.
Yes.
What is the correct move, Philip?
I was hoping you'd tell me.
Yeah, I nearly did, but then I sort of held my hands and I didn't make the move with the mouse.
Probably unpin the queen, maybe b3, hitting the pawn again.
Nope. All these things go against a very big principle, which I like to humorously call the bring all the guys to the party principle.
All right, queen h3 then, threatening.
I don't mind queen h3, but this guy is already attending the party.
Okay. Then.
This guy, Philip, is the one that is not attacking any parties, right? Hence, rook here.
Yeah.
Now that said, queen h3 is a very strong and very good move. Would have loved to see that.
Yep.
But even so, inevitably, you will come here at one stage. All right, let's move on. Queen d3. Yeah, queen here seems to me to be a tad bit stronger than what you did.
I think I was very focused on that e6 pawn, ironically.
Yeah, well, which makes a lot of sense, but you have to be a little bit careful there. Okay, is there a reason why we keep on not taking it, Philip?
I was fully intent on doing it. I just wanted to protect my rook, which is already protected, I see. So.
If it hadn't been protected, Philip, they would have taken it here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, now we could have done major damage. Really, really hardcore. Okay, so we went rook e1, which is alright. Take. The difference would have been, Philip, that in this case, now wherever the king goes, you have got a mate. With the exception of queen d5. I would like to show you this. It's mate. How beautiful is that?
Wow. That is nice. I didn't see that. I wish I'd have seen that one.
Not bad. Well, it wouldn't have happened because queen d5 is a legit move. And you only have a tiny edge after, if any at all, actually. After queen takes, which is more or less forced. So maybe it was better not to take it. Okay, queen c5. Good. Oh, and then they are going to fall for a mate. Good. Okay, the execution in the end was rather spectacular. Okay, let's move on. A loss? You're not allowed to lose games, Philip. Okay.
Yeah, that was Sorry, you're looking at the worst games. You have a habit of this.
All right. I'm not going to comment on this move because I could say no
No,
nice things to you about that.
there's no need.
One thing I would like to ask is that next time, please go d5 here. And
Yep.
please, Philip, have a good idea all the time what your opponent is going to do against your moves. Because when you play something like this, it tells me that A, you didn't spend any time on it, and B, you didn't even consider your opponent's moves. Because had you done that, you would have noticed g3. And then you wouldn't have played it. So your whole thought process here was way too hasty and quick, and yeah. Okay, let's call it, Philip, that you forced weaknesses on the king's side, yeah? So there are weak...
Yeah, or a mouse slip.
Yes, the masterfully prophylactic play. This is what's happening here. Okay, what would I like to say, or I like to play here, Philip, after c3?
D5.
No brainer, yeah?
Yep.
There's no way that there is a better move in this position than d5. Okay, knight f6. Now please note, I really want you to remember this. What do you think the best move for black is after this? I think this is a motive that I showed you before, but if I hadn't, then...
was something similar you showed me the last time with
then I...
5 check, which obviously doesn't work now.
No, that it doesn't have the queen in this business at all.
I have no idea.
Okay, what will you do then?
Knight d5.
Okay, so the principle, Philip, that we need to apply here is that when your opponent attacks your piece, you don't run away immediately. Okay, you look at other options as well. Your favorite other option is if your opponent attacks your piece, you attack their piece.
Alright.
Okay, and once again, it has got a very strong correlation with center. Okay, taking is downright horrendous because after takes, bishop takes, you have the two bishops. This bishop is clamping down onto the d3 square, so they can't even play d4. It's just downright losing. And if the bishop moves anywhere, then you can drop the knight back here.
Okay.
Which is something you can do here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and d3, d5, excellent. What do we take back with Philip?
Pawn.
Very good, because it gives you a big fat tempo and an extra central pawn. Yeah, and central pawns give us space advantage. That was a mistake. That I don't particularly like either, because the check is going to hurt you a great deal. So yeah, probably just queen c7. Take back with the queen. Oh, come on. Alright, you had to play here king f8, Philip. You have to swallow the bitter pill, because this is losing just too much material.
Alright.
And as much as I really like king safety, and I would rather lose material than compromise my king, this is actually a minor compromise. Okay, your king technically is not weaker here than here. It's just that you can't castle, so bringing this rook into the game is going to be a pain in the neck.
Yep.
But that's definitely the better choice, or I should say the lesser evil, rather than sacking an exchange and a pawn. I mean, yes, you may have some slight hopes of mating them on these weak white squares, but more likely only if they are complete. Yeah, let's not go there.
Yep.
And I have to say that you did build up this very neat tension on the diagonal, so well played. Like, look at that very consistent plan of putting the bishop on the diagonal and then swapping it around with the queen, and then putting it either here, even down there. It's very good. So why didn't we not win? Why didn't we not win this, Philip?
I'm not sure.
You know what I
I can't
reckon?
remember.
I reckon you have
Uh,
a beautiful move here, Philip.
I looked. I, I really did. But
Okay, so remember I always tell you to go with checks, captures, threats, blah blah blah. And so you look at check
yes,
followed by takes, whatever. What
yes.
you notice about this position, other than that you jump into these calculations, is that if f2 was covered, then this would be a mate.
Okay. Yes.
How do you think I will make sure that f2 is covered?
Huh. Um. Don't know.
Well, let me give you then two very subtle hints. One, two. You pick which one seems to make some sense.
Mm,
This is, Philip, where your tactical skills kick in really hardcore when you realize that the queen is tied down to the defense of the g2 square. So unlike knight e4, which is an utter nonsense, knight g4
okay.
is not capturable because of the mate.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, this
That,
is
yes.
not a hard move, Philip. This is not
No.
out of the realm of what you are capable of doing. This is not a movement that when you see you go like, oh, there is no way that would have occurred to me.
Right.
It should, because you, as I just pointed out to you, notice that if the king can't go there, it's mate. So knight g4 makes sense. I'm not saying this is the best move. I just wanted to draw your attention to this because it had a very nice line. In fact, I don't think it's good because after knight e4, f5, I think that white here has a variety of ways of defending himself, including not doing anything, because if we take that, he can take this.
Yep.
So yeah, I reckon that this is not best. But what I wanted to show you that if they play knight d5, can you find a win for black here? Or at least a very promising continuation?
Mm.
What's the first move you look at,
No.
Philip?
I was looking at rook takes.
Brilliant. That's the defender. You need to smack the heck out of it, yeah? And if
Yep.
takes after queen takes, it's made there. The only way to stop it is to chuck something on f3. After takes, bishop takes, we are winning on material. Thank you. Game over. Right. Okay. Alternative after...
Sorry, if
yeah?
if queen takes here.
Yeah?
So rook takes, queen takes knight.
I beg your pardon?
So after I take his rook, if he inserts the intermediate move, queen takes on
Here?
e4. No, one before this.
Oh, that's the other variation. Yeah, very good question.
Okay.
And this is where I was tossing up. Rook e5 seems to win at least another piece because of the mate threat.
Okay.
Which means that actually I should have come here because that does the same and we are pinching a pawn even in the process.
Right.
So actually rook d3. Yeah, threatening mate here, hanging this.
That's very nice. Yeah.
Game over. You don't believe it? Yeah.
No, I was thinking he can bring his queen back to e2 to defend the bishop.
But see, that's again, Philip, the same motive that already did not work for them once, so it's not gonna work again because after queen e2 you just take this.
Okay. Yes.
Remember, this queen is overloaded. It's not defending this because it's busy guarding the mate.
Yeah.
So it's GG. But then again, all I'm saying is that this motive was there. I'm not saying you should have done it because of... yeah, I think knight e4 was a good enough defense. So let's see what happened in the game. Check, down there, check. Actually, this is definitely better because here you already pinched enough material back and the king is still very unsafe. Bishop f, especially after bishop f2, I think he should have tried to walk away. Queen d6.
Wasn't sure how to follow up here. So I think word went south for me.
I would consider Queen g5 to deny the king to escape. And I would also consider something like Queen h3, because that's threatening with Bishop f3.
Ah, yes.
Please note that they can never take this. I hope you notice that because of the pin. Which I have a terrible feeling, Philip, that you did not notice and you came back here to guard it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so you see, Philip, a king and a queen on an open file in front of each other, and you know already that that screams trouble. Like, this was the last move I looked at because I just felt that that was not going to happen. So you definitely should not have come back here with the intention of guarding a bishop. In fact, you should have invited your opponent to kindly take it.
Right.
Okay, back knight b5, queen c6. So by now I suppose you noticed that it was actually not hanging, which is good. So did your opponent, sadly. a6. I would not be in a hurry, Philip, to chase this knight back for a number of reasons. One of them is because it doesn't do anything here. Number two, because it allows you to go in here with a check.
Right.
Because of the pin.
Yep.
And your bishop is actually on too, so there are a few things that concern us now. I would consider something like here, and then bishop f6. Where now this bishop is operating very nicely against the king. So this bishop was already causing a lot of trouble when that king was still back here. And now this bishop is going to take over the role. And now it's going to attack down that diagonal very, very annoyingly. So that, on the other hand, seems to me a bit of a blunder.
Yep.
Okay, so this is again, Philip, the last thing you would want to do in this position is to swap queens, yeah?
Yeah.
So maybe rook e8 and then pinching this knight was your last chance, although it still looks ugly regardless of what happens, really. Whoa. Okay. All right. That was a bit unfortunate because you built up a very good attack on the diagonal. I quite like the way how you did that, but after that it slipped away from you again. All right. Next. Okay. What should we do against such moves like this, Philip?
E4 probably.
Most definitely. The good news, Philip, is that regardless of what they do in this position, your next move is going to be e4.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Nope. Yeah. No. e4, my friend. e4. Center. Because if you don't do it now, you won't get to do it ever again.
Yep.
Okay, so you can't miss on moves like this, Philip, because they cost you a lot. Okay, queen c2. Strictly speaking, it's not necessary, but it's not a bad move either. Bishop takes c3, however, is downright horrendous. h6 is another atrociously bad move. Knight e5.
Yeah.
Did you ask these bishops about how they felt about this move? Don't think so.
Felt a bit abandoned.
Yeah, I don't think that conversation took place. Bishop f4 is a very decent move. I would consider he b3 simply because after this they might have some struggles with castling. But then again, you have to watch out because after knight e4 we might be in a heap of trouble because of the upcoming check winning the bishop. So probably just play normal bishop f4, knight e3, the e3, bishop he castles and win. Yep, two bishops,
Yep.
Horrendously weak dark squares, Philip is winning. Okay, what the heck is going on here? Like, isn't it just... Yeah, you can't play chess, Philip, like this because it leads nowhere. Because if your opponent sucks in the mate, then other than a sense of satisfaction, you gain nothing out of this game. Yeah, because there was nothing to learn. You proved nothing to yourself. You proved nothing to your opponent. So there was no growth, no learning taking place in this however minutes it lasted. If they don't suck it in like they didn't, then on top of that you made yourself look like a bit of a goose because you're moving around with your queen hoping for cheapies that are not going to happen. So yeah, let's quit doing the cheapies, Philip. You really needed to play something here like bishop f4 and develop pieces in a rapid hurry. Now I think actually he could have taken this and just hang on to it with b5 if you attack it, or yeah, queen a5 check is threatened. So you did a lot of harm and damage to yourself by moving around your queen like that. That seems to me a bit of an unnecessary move too, but let's move on. e4, wow. I'm getting a bit worried, Philip, that we are opening up this position when we are totally underdeveloped. So my main concern is that what will we do against this? Which is obviously a screaming obvious move.
Okay. Yep.
We are not looking happy here, Philip, are we? I sincerely doubt that in this game we are going to finish development without getting bruised really hardcore. Yeah, you play something like this. Queen d5. You can't even develop the bishop because this is hanging. My next move is gonna be castles here, threatening mate in 1.
Yep.
Yeah, let's not do this. And that's again, Philip, in this position it's obvious for me that after e4 you didn't really spend much time on trying to figure out what was gonna hit you. Because then you would have calculated takes, I must take, bishop f5, yuck. This is basically now damage control here. You really needed to play e3 followed by bishop out somewhere. I know it blocks in the bishop, but that bishop is gonna stand perfectly fine here. Plus, once again, we are in damage control mode. If the biggest issue that happens to us is that we can't develop this bishop on a better square, so be it. Oops. That was me pressing the wrong button. Okay, now g6 is an atrocious move. Bishop c4 is great. Castles. Yay, cheapy day.
Yeah. Apologies.
Awesome. Given, Philip, that regardless of how you block this check, you will have to move your king sooner or later, I would have done it right now.
Okay.
Because then at least they won't take you here with check, which means that you can pinch this one too.
Yeah.
Note that I don't really take it because it's a pawn, but because if it's a developing move that actually creates a mate threat through 2, so that we can then follow it up with rook e1 and things are looking rather cool. Whereas now it's a bit clumsy. And again, why would you come here when you can go here? This is a very strange decision to me. Like, why would you go here?
It's a similar reason, funny enough. I wanted to bring the h rook to the to e1.
Yeah, but which rook goes to e1 is totally irrelevant compared to how safe your king is.
Yeah.
And your king is not safe here at all. It's in fact horrendously exposed. Whereas here, it's covered for starters on a file. It's not here. And you can tuck away here where nothing can hurt you ever again. This is a very strange choice, and oh my god. Speaking of strange choices. Okay. It's kind of hard to prove points in my analysis when your opponent is trying his mighty best to lose the game, despite of all your mistakes. Okay, back on the right track. Good. Okay, Philip. This is a point where I feel very sad, but you can make me happy if you tell me what you should have done here. My only hint that I'm willing to tell you is that you are missing here a screaming obvious mate. In fact, 2 of them. As in, you have 2 different ways to mate in no more than 2 moves. So this is big time pattern recognition that I'm afraid didn't happen at this point.
So bishop f7 followed by bishop g6 probably was.
Or queen g8. Mind you, I would play bishop g6 any day of the year because that's so much more spectacular. You tell me why you couldn't see it, Philip. Or I should rather say, actually, I would like to pose this question very differently. Did you not have a feeling that there must be a mate here?
Yeah, I wish I could see what the clock situation was. Maybe I was low, but yeah, I should have been able to see this. There's no excuse, really.
See, the point that I'm trying to make, Philip, is all the more underlined by the clock, because if you have got 1 minute here and you have a gut feeling that there is a mate, you find a mate, because if you do anything else, it's gonna last a heck of a lot longer. Look how many moves you have played. Instead of a mate in 2. You can't justify it with shortage of time. Plus, every single move you make from here on that is not the mate is a potential blunder. I'm not saying because of you are weak. I'm saying because of you might be struggling with time pressure.
Yep.
Okay, so Philip, you need to bring your guys to the party. Okay, yep. I don't care if it loses a pawn. Clearly, that's not a concern when you have 5 rooks up. You need to bring your dudes to the party. We really need to get into this habit. Good. Isn't it the forced looking mate with the check? And then there?
Man. Yes.
Well, not quite, because they can go there, but then again, this doesn't look like it's gonna end happy for black, does it?
Nope.
Okay, so just for you, I'm showing you the finish so that you can see how nice and generous I am. Please note how every single move, Philip, was a check opposed to non-check. That is dodged by one simple, very silly move. Yeah, so once again, if you are short on time, you go for forcing variations. Alright, yeah, so you did finally. Okay, once again, rook d6 here is far more effective than this. But we ended up winning anyway. Okay, good. Alrighty. Center.
First, before the night. Okay.
Yep. It's not a good way to put it, Philippe, that before the night. The way you put it is that right now, whenever you can. So if you can, you do it. You don't even compare it to anything else. You just do it because you can. And now you see already that you can't anymore. Which proves my point in a very painful manner. This is good chess that you're doing here now. I would have considered f6 followed by e5.
Okay.
What? What's happening here? Wow, this is really bad. I quite like the concept behind this. I would like to point out to you though that you could have safely taken this, because this knight, once it takes the rook, in fact, you can take back on it. So you can even actually pinch this pawn, come back, not there, here, because you want to control that diagonal so they can't castle that way. And when takes, you take back. Yeah, I've got 2 knights for a rook plus an extra pawn. The game is over. But what you did is equally good, so that's fine too. I don't understand this move now. Why don't you take this?
Yeah, I should have. I figured that 3 pieces sort of on pre-comp too bad. So
well, if you think about it realistically, Philip, in this position, if you, let's say, played here, they went back, then you played back here, this is still a horrible move.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it, is that it's horrible. Now, compared to that, you actually get to take a free piece before they execute this horrible move.
Yep.
So let's take 3 pieces, Philip. Not to mention the fact, and that's really the hurtful part of it, is that you could have taken it.
Right. Preventing all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Whilst I think I know why you did it, I tend to be a guy who doesn't like to go backwards, Philippe. I am the dude who likes to go forward.
Right.
I don't think that it's possible to argue against a move like this.
Yeah, I agree. So my biggest issue was I would like to develop my bishop.
I agree. So after
and
knight
it
d4, my next
improves the knight.
move is
Yeah.
this. And then I take, and then I play bishop c6.
Right.
See, the problem, Philip, is that I don't understand how knight d7 assists this bishop's development. It positively hinders it. You can't go there.
Right.
So what you are saying and what you are doing are contradicting each other really, really hardcore. Although I believe I understand what sort of thoughts went through your head, but that just doesn't really make sense that you want to come here because you want to help to develop this bishop.
Yeah, so I think the plan was d7, e5, taking the knight, and then push the pawn.
You mean taking the bishop?
What?
Yeah, which is fair enough. It's way too slow, but yeah, it's a plan. Knight d4 does it in a far better way.
Great.
Yeah, and I don't even want to go to cheap land where I'm saying you could have played rook d8 with the idea of knight takes c4, because you are playing for far too many cheapies as it is. Okay, that was really great. So this part of the game was played really well. I don't like that, Philip, because this knight is by far the best piece on the board, and I wouldn't even swap it for a rook, let alone for this stupid bishop. Yeah, I would have dropped back to one of these two squares, and then b6, bishop b7. This knight is not going anywhere here unless you win material or game with it, yeah? Now, of course, I have to contradict myself to a little extent because you are a piece up, so swapping stuff takes you closer to victory. Okay, I like that. I don't like that because this bishop is not developed.
Yeah.
Bishop here, and then you can go rook d8.
This is where I think I made a mistake.
I again would have preferred Philip to develop.
Correct. Yeah.
Develop, 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 develop. Guess what I would have played here? Develop.
Yeah.
Because after rook takes d4, you have bishop takes e4, and the rook can't take because it's pinned.
Oh man, I missed that.
The nature of good moves, Philip, is that often you find that there is a tactics that proves them, and you find the good move before you notice the tactics behind it. That's exactly how I spotted bishop b7, because I have this desire I want to get out with this bishop, so I went like bishop b7. Oh, but the knight hangs. But oh, actually it doesn't, because I can then take there. That's how I found bishop b7 just then.
Yep.
You just need to believe in moves that seem to be impossible otherwise they would be okay. I'm hoping that we're not stepping into this really hardcore now. Now, this tactics, I definitely give you a massive high five. That is really, really good that you found that, because a lot of players would have played this and would have gone home in tears.
Yeah.
And instead playing rook d1, brilliant stuff. I'm very proud of you for that. That seems to be interesting, to say the least. In fact, downright losing after queen b6 check.
Yeah, picking up the knight, right?
Well, either that or this fork. But I'm not going to give you grief for this because queen takes f4 is ridiculously winning too, so whatevs. Doesn't matter.
Here, something better, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's alright. It's alright. I mean, I could probably find a more accurate way to win this, but it's okay. What do I like to say to you, Philip, about the guys and the party?
Bring them.
Bring them, indeed. Have we got a guy who is not attending the party, Philip?
Yeah, okay, maybe rook a4 is over a4.
No,
Wait,
let's not put it on a4, Philip, which is the only square where they would take it in one move. So that would be a fairly unfortunate pick.
c8 maybe.
c8, threatening winning the game in one move, looks good enough to me. Rook d8,
Yeah.
hitting the queen, developing with a tempo, looks good enough to me. Okay, bring all the guys to the party, golden rule. Why are we not playing e5 here? Hitting this and that. Not sure.
Not sure.
Yeah, this is very clumsy. Isn't this hanging like this?
Yeah, that was stronger.
It's a free piece, Philip, so you should respect it and take it.
Yeah.
Okay? Because why would you give your opponent unnecessary counterplay? Why is it... Oh, and you lost on time. Okay, that explains a fair bit here. Right. Okay. I don't care, Philip, that you lost this game because you played really, really well. So whether it ends with a 1-0 in the bottom or a 0-1 in this case, totally, I don't care. I know that it might have hurt you a little bit, but I'm looking at level of chess and the quality of your play, and that was probably best in that game compared to all the others.
Yep.
So that was good job.
E5. Okay. Yeah.
E5. Thank you. Superb position. The sad thing is that your position is still so good that you should comfortably convert it to a win. B6, my dear lord. Isn't this hanging now? Oh, jeez. I quite like D5, Philip. It's good.
Yeah, I thought it blocked off his bishop.
Yeah, and you're bringing the other... you are bringing the knight here. It's good stuff. And I hope that you noticed that C3 was hanging, and I hope you chose not to care.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I take it as a yes. Because the idea, Philip, is that knight c3 loses to everything, whereas queen c3 loses to check, followed by rook c1 when your pieces are just flooding into his position. It's just a good move. I would not even consider it as taking on c3, to be honest. But I want you to consider it and then refute it. Bishop b2, excellent stuff. Check takes, beauty. Rook e1, okay, fine. Bishop f7 is threatened. Did you notice that?
I'm sure I did.
I'm sure you didn't, Philip, because after bishop takes d5, bishop f7 check is a ridiculously spectacular way to win a queen on e7.
Yeah.
So when you see this, Philip, built up on this, that is totally not guarded, you go like, if I hadn't had this bishop here, or if I didn't have this bishop here, I would have mate. Can I move it away with a check? Right. Bang, mate next. This is not an easy tactics. But once again, it is well within your skill range. And how utterly ugly it is to play this instead. And then you went on to the correct move. Well, better later than never. Good on you, at least you found it. It still wins the game, so I'm cool with that. I'm absolutely cool with that. Now, as much as I like to keep on giving you grief for not bringing all the guys to the party, and you are now, first of all, if you should have brought it here where it actually does something.
Right.
But I don't see anything wrong with taking this, allowing your knight to enter the fray.
Okay. I believe I wanted to bring knight in via d4.
Oh, you wanted to play d4 because you are a cheapy customer. Sorry. I can take this, and then this rook is going to be useless there. But, okay, fair enough. And it got executed well, so...
I didn't realize it was a cheapie at the time. I just thought it was a... Yeah.
when you are at this level, Philip, it's difficult to distinguish between cheapies and something that looks like a good plan.
Yep.
Okay? A good way to distinguish between the two is that you ask yourselves, what will I do against the best defense? And if your answer is like, I don't know, then it was a cheapie. If you have got a good follow-up, regardless of whether they defend it or not, then it was a good move.
Okay. Yeah, that helps.
These are the types of moves, Philip, that I really like to fight against big time on a theoretical or academical basis, because my view on this is that you play this because you are 5 million pieces ahead, and it would be horrible to lose to a stupid backrank mate at one stage.
Correct.
That's your thinking word by word. My somewhat more professional approach towards this issue, and I don't want to sound full of myself, but you need to steer towards this way because it's going to have an effect on your overall calculation, is that you look at the board and you go like, is this threatening? You go, no. Okay, then you don't guard it. It's as simple as that. It's the same as, I don't feel like this queen is safe enough here, so I'm playing g4. What's that for? It's not hanging. You have your opponent's king on the ropes, about to get mated, and then we are dodging a non-existing backrank mate. Doesn't really add up too well, does it? Once again, makes sense, logical. Let's make sure we are 100% safe. But if I put it to you that way, that is this a mate threat? No. Then why are you guarding against it? You can't really have an adequate response to that, can you? Especially in the light of you have got 25 very strong attacking moves against his king. So let me show you just an example of how I would have torn them apart here as white. So check, 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 check. Do I need to go further? Okay, I will. Check, check, checkmate. There was not any moment, Philippe, where this could have happened, even though technically it's on.
Yep.
Yeah? Do you see which king it was all about? This one.
Yep.
It's never gonna be about yours. Minor tactics here.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't quite get why in this position we don't take this and then that.
Yeah. Should have, yeah.
And again, why do we don't take that now? Oh, wow. That mate is a beauty.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, I realized with the knight it covers the escape square.
Oh, yeah. Now that is a spectacular finish. Well done. Okay. I really didn't mean to sort of waste all your time on just game analysis, but I think we are making steady progress here by doing what we are doing.
Yep.
Bishop. Yeah, I'm not even wasting words on what your opponent is doing here. I would already consider something like this.
Okay.
Simply because having put all his pawns on white, yeah, that's one thing. The other one is that I'm dreaming that once I break this pin, I will come in here and then here.
Yep. Ah, yes.
That would be juicy. I mean, when you see moves like this and this together, you're already facepalming yourself, asking, dude, really? What's your story? I'm not sure about this, but okay. As long as you're going forward, Philippe, you always have a supporter in me. Whoa! So isn't takes and then check not winning this?
Ah, yes.
Philippe.
Oh, should have seen that.
Unguarded pieces are always attracting a good tactician's eye. Yeah, as soon as I see knight d5 castles, I'm going like, That's not looking good. And already it's also not looking good that both of these need to be guarded by the queen. So the queen is already overloaded too. So there are lots of opportunities here for tactical tricks. So you don't stop here until you checked everything and convince yourself that nothing works. Funnily enough, my good old teachings, checks, seem to do the trick for you.
Yeah.
So if you want to progress Philip from 1700 up, whether it's 50 or 100 or 2000 ratings, these can't happen for too long anymore, because this is what distinguishes a good 2000 rated player from where you are now, that if they are given a chance like this, they are not going to miss out. Okay, what distinguishes you from these dudes below you is that they play horrendously from first move on, and basically if you are now displaying the same strength, you're going to win, because they have played already so many crappy moves that it's impossible to recover from. But the next step from here is where you tactically pound onto them as hardcore as you can, and as soon as they make a tiniest slip like this, you are relentlessly punishing it. Because second bests are not gonna cut it like that. What? Isn't that hanging, Philip?
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, I would like to point out that it still works, by the way. Check and then takes. Just for the record. Okay, I mean, blunders like that happen. Shouldn't, but they do happen to the best of us. And I suppose that the rest of the game is rather meaningless for our purposes. Ah, that's a bit of a cutie there. I have to give credit for that. Fighting on forever. That was a cruel move. That was cruelty. Hardcore cruelty. Okay. Black is victorious. Let's see, how did we win this? This is not the move that we agreed on, Philip.
Okay. Yeah, this is like the fourth one that's happened. I will play d5 forever now.
You have a very handsome looking file on this, and that file says to you to play 96.
Yep.
Yep. Good. Okay. Because whilst this is a theoretical line, I would not like you to play chess like this.
Okay.
I'm not sure what best is for white here, but there are two things I would be concerned about. One is knight here. Actually, even knight here is interesting. But knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes here, followed by something sensible on white side, seems to be quite depressing to me. Maybe even knight b5 here is legit. Check bishop e2. f4 is pending. Yep. I would not like to be black here. Okay, queen f3, take. Oh, wow. Okay, this is super passive, Philip. You want to float around somewhere in the center. So if your idea was to move away the queen so that it attacks this pawn, you should have come here.
Okay.
Okay, you need some sort of piece around your king to make sure that you are 100% safe, because this just withdraws the queen to such a drastic extent that it now can't participate in whatever defense you might need around your king.
Yep.
So for example, now anyone with the tiniest brain in their head would play queen f6, completely denying your castling.
Right.
And now your only way to dodge it is if you bring the queen back somewhere here. Had you put your king here, now you would just be able to play queen c5 followed by queen e7 and then castle out. From a6,
right.
I'm not sure what piece of advice I can give you. I mean, you are winning anyway because you're a piece up, but we are making it as hard for ourselves as we possibly can. Okay, never mind. Yeah, this is getting a bit awkward.
Yep.
Like c4 here is probably hurting you a little bit, Philip. I mean, after takes,
Yeah.
I guess you are winning, but once again, we are tempting fate. He is so hardcore. Okay, tiny trick, Philip. Always tactics is your way out of trouble. Let's walk queens, yeah? Oh, I
Alright.
blundered a pawn. Or maybe I did not.
Okay.
So what will happen after queen takes, Philip? It's a very, very difficult
Ah,
tactics. I will give you 2.7 seconds to figure it out.
it's rook. No, that's not rooking. Thinking rook to d8, but that doesn't track.
Philip, it's a check. Let's get out of check.
Right.
You lost on time. Rook c7 traps the queen. Yeah?
Ah, beautiful. Okay.
See, that's again the ultimate example of me
Yeah.
wanting to play a move and then finding out that it's actually correct.
Yeah.
Because the move I'm looking at is the correct move, but I didn't see it until I spotted this. So this is how I thinking should work, Philippe, that in this position you go like, oh, okay, this is a pain in the neck, let's swap queens. Ah, but it doesn't work. But does it really not work? Oh, actually it does. Yeah, and it's a beautiful way to trap that queen in there. Whereas b5 is actually, again, compromising your own king's position as well as, yeah. Yep, that was not pretty, especially not, I don't understand this move at all. What I'm suggesting instead, I don't know, but I'm confused about the meaning of this move.
Yeah, so I think the queen seemed sort of trapped to me. I couldn't escape on the diagonal there. Moving it back allowed me to
So why don't you come here then?
move.
Or, well,
Yeah.
I would have played here, really. I mean, just ruined the totally winning position in 2 moves. Like, again, this doesn't address the problem at all. You should have played here queen c5.
Yep.
And after queen takes, pawn takes, you sort of dug yourself into a bit of a hole. But after rook c3 that denies c4 followed by rook here, it's still a very easy win for black. Because you are going to pinch this with your king, and then they simply don't have enough stuff. They only have one more pawn than you do. That doesn't make up for a piece. So this is a very important piece of advice for you, Philip, that when you are in damage control, it's more than okay to give back some material for the sake of dismantling their initiative. Initiative is your biggest enemy when you are ahead in material. You hate it when your opponent dictates the game, when you are ahead. You need to stop that ASAP, and if the cost of it is a pawn, so be it. Because here it went south at a ridiculous pace, and we just lost every single piece we had on the board in like 5 moves. Huh. Interesting choice here by white. Wow, this was a major roller coaster, Philip. To put it mildly. I'm not sure if I like this rook on f4. So what will you do if I don't play here?
I regret playing f4.
I agree. So, in fact, I don't like rook b4 already as it is. I would have either gone down here or here. Because the rule of thumb, Philip, remember, is that you want to be behind the enemy pawns, not in front. That's the worst all the time. Side is second best. Best is behind. So we do worst now. Still worst. Your opponent is really good at making totally meaningless moves like this check. If I had to classify this move, I would definitely call it the worst possible move on the board.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, not counting the rook blunders, because it forces your king back into the game, whereas after h4, I think we are borderline losing here. In fact, stuff borderline, you are dead lost here, because this pawn is just going to march in with the aid of the king. You are totally, absolutely 100% dead here. Now, of course, it's not the same because your king can come closer. This move, however, again, takes the cake because what the heck? What are you going to do against this, Philip?
Resign.
And what was your thinking when you went there?
I'm hoping it was to get behind
How?
by e5 and then e1, but yeah.
I don't get it. I don't understand how this helps you to go behind this pawn. His plan is to push it in.
Yep.
So you needed to come across here in a super crazy hurry. You are fine now. After king d6, there is no way white can win this. Because you are just too close to the main arena and you are not down in material. After rook g5, you are beyond saving again after h6. Or potentially even stronger might be rook here, which totally denies your rook to come back behind. And since you put it in the most awkward square, there is no way to go around either because my king is gonna deny that. Okay. Oh, God. This is physically hurts me what I'm seeing here. Oh God, this is classic. So what do you think? Actually, I have to put it to you, Philip, and this is going to be our last question for the day because I heavily overstepped our time, and I'm sorry if you had to go. What do you think is the winning plan here for white?
Whoa.
It is super easy, super basic. No pressure.
Run the king down, but that does run into some trouble. Maybe. Wow. It's like really, I'd want to get the white king somewhere down to g7 somehow. So
Yes, beautiful idea, Philip. Can't be done. Move on.
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be harsh, but you can't go that way because of what happened in the game, and it's obvious to see that if you can't hit this way, all squares are covered. So let's drop it. Plus, it's by no means the most practical way to win either.
How about rook e6 followed by g6 followed by g8?
We have got, Philip, an agreement as well as a principle that in endgames, when you have got passed pawns, they need to do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it is somewhat obscure for you to see because the pawn that I'm talking about as passed pawn is not the one that you are looking at. Because you are looking at this one, I'm looking at this one.
Alright, so f4, g5.
Tell me, please, if you disagree with me, that it's painfully basic.
Yeah. No.
And so effective. I mean, why would you prefer to have a king on g7 when you can have a pawn on g7 totally unstoppably?
Right.
Yeah, so here f4, g5, and then just game is over. Instead, your opponent played this, which was remarkably brilliant, and then yeah, they had to quit here. For the sake of accuracy, Philip, I would like to point out to you here that d2 is the worst way, and I'm sorry that I'm rubbing it in so hardcore as a parting message to go about this pawn ending, because after king c3, it's impossible to stop promotion.
Right.
Yeah? Whereas after d2, it's impossible not to stop it.
Yeah, okay.
And you are still looking at a bit of a work to actually finish off. I mean, after e5, it's obvious that you're going to win because if I go here, you come here and it's queen. Otherwise, I can just throw away my pawns and then the same thing happens. But again, we play it unnecessarily, 20 more moves, or 10 or however many, instead of just simply coming here, forcing immediate resignation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want, Philip, to happen from today and between today and our next lesson is that you spend every single minute of your time that you would spend on chess on tactics.
Okay.
That is to say that obviously the games that you would normally play, you play them. So I'm not saying don't go on Lichess and play, because playing is super important. But when you sit down, like, okay, I've got half an hour, let's do something. It's tactics, tactics, tactics.
Okay.
Okay, whatever shape or format you choose to do it, I don't mind. I would just go on to the 10,000 chess puzzles site that I showed you and go through them. And the way how I would do it, Philip, is you look at a puzzle, you write down the solution for yourself. You need to do it, actually. Like piece of paper, pen, you write down starting move, finishing move, and immediately check the solution. And if it doesn't match, you take a note of it and you ask me when you see me next time. Or you figure out yourself if you can, which I think you would, and then you figure out why your solution is not right. But if you are not sure, then we look into it.
Yep.
Cool. So let's agree that our goal will be, Philip, that on the 10,000 chess puzzles, I don't know how many of the mate in threes you've done. If you haven't been here at all yet.
Not that many.
Okay,
Most of the twos.
let's get them out of the way. Okay, so if you can't finish them all off in a fortnight, then let's say that in a month, there shouldn't be any left. I think there are 4 pages. One page has got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. 30 puzzle a page, 120 puzzles. You should kill them in a month.
Right.
Okay, let's aim for that.
Right.
All right. Once again, well done for breaking 1700. Our new aim is 2100. Okay, I don't like to set meaningless goals, and I also don't like to set impossible goals. So 2100 by the end of July.
Fair enough.
That's the plan. All right, Philippe, thanks a lot. Sorry for stretching it a bit longer than I should have. I hope you don't mind.
No,
makes me look very good when I upload this. All right, Philippe, thank you.
Right.
Keep up the good work, and then I will see you in a fortnight.
Yep, thank you.
All right, cheers, mate. Have a good one. See ya.
Cheers.